For what is up, everyone? We are back for the second half of our soccer EPL preview here. Yesterday, we went through teams from Arsenal to Leicester alphabetically, and today we are going from Liverpool to the bottom of the table with Wolves. Leo, how are we feeling today?
Zolli, always a pleasure. Ready to get going.
Ready to get going. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at a little bit of Transfermarkt to talk through some of these teams. And you know what? We're going to get started right near what I think will be the top of the table. No bias whatsoever, none whatsoever with who we're going to start talking with. We're going to go with the 19-time league champion Liverpool. I mean, obviously, they are the team that I support. Last year, very much so a disappointment. You could say injuries. You could say a couple players off the mark. But, I mean, big moves that they've made already. They got Ibrahima Konate from Leipzig in the back. I mean, just it's lazy to say that guys being healthy are an inbound move too. But then, of course, the big departure is Jorginho Wijnaldum leaving, going to PSG on a free transfer. But I have red tinted glasses. I think it's back to normal. They're gonna roll right back through again. Leo, your thoughts?
Definitely a top 3, top 4 team. Can they do number 1? I think so, but Man City is a really tough team to beat. We'll talk about them later. Liverpool has what it takes. They just need to play some soccer together as teammates, as they once did whenever they were on top of the table.
You mean last year? Like literally last year when the entire team was healthy?
Last year. When will Virgil van Dijk be back?
He's back. I mean, when will he be back, like in the lineup all the time? Probably would take a couple weeks, but he's back. He's playing. He played 42 minutes yesterday. So did Joe Gomez. He played 42 minutes. Gomez played 42 minutes. So they're healthy. They're back. They just need to get into playing form.
Who isn't healthy at this point? Is there anybody that's injured that's causing anything at Liverpool? Everybody's good.
No. Everybody's good. It's the way I like to say it, and this you can take with a grain of salt. Liverpool in 2019-20 was the second best team in the history of the Premier League. Take that team, replace Gini Wijnaldum with Thiago, and replace Dejan Lovren with Ibrahima Konate. Other than that, pretty much the same team. Now, that may be a little bit of a lazy comparison because everybody's also got 2 years older. That doesn't talk about the rest of the competition. But the core of the team, they didn't lose anybody. They still have Bobby Firmino. They still have Mo Salah. They still have Sadio Mane. They still have Jordan Henderson. They still have Fabinho. They still have the same back 5. Now, again, what about injury? When do Gomez and Van Dijk come back? But then Gomez, Van Dijk, they also have Matip and now Konate, who will probably end up that'll probably be your starters against Norwich, and you'll probably see Kelleher in net instead of Allison, just because they came back from Copa America late, all the Brazilians. So I don't think the Brazilians are going to play the first week. But another thing, you have Diogo Jota as well. So they have they have a lot of the same things that made them good. Player that I'm sure is not on your radar, but you should watch, Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott, 18 years old. Liverpool got him from Fulham. He was for a little bit the youngest player in Premier League history. Fought off PSG and Real Madrid to sign him. 18 years old. Like he's all piss and vinegar. He played for Blackburn in the championship last year, and he looked like he was a real deal. He's somebody to watch. Big time. A lot
Okay,
of
where do you see Liverpool finishing up on the table this year?
I think they're going to win.
Number one.
I think they're going to win. Here's the way that I look at it, and I don't just say this as a Liverpool fan. This was a team who ran the league ragged 2 years ago and then had a terrible amount of injuries and still finished third. They were first in the table at Christmas. They fell apart in the middle of the season because the injuries just mounted so much. They have more depth. What
game did they lose to Aston Villa? The very first game.
It wasn't the very first game. It was early in the season, but Man City lost games too. Man City was in like 8th place in November. People can lose games. 7-2 against Aston Villa is one game. You play 38 games in a season. You can lose one game badly. I mean, that doesn't. Okay. I mean, if the only difference that makes is if they were tied on points with Man City, the -5 goal differential would have hurt. But no. So, talking about Man City, that's where we go next. We go a little west or east to Manchester. Of course, holding the Premier League title currently. I mean, they basically run the league other than when Liverpool won 2 years ago, and they're just adding. I mean, they got Jack Grealish. They're looking at Harry Kane. Maybe they're looking at Lionel Messi. I mean,
well, they got a bunch of players already, right? They're not going to lose anybody important. They still have all of their starting lineups, basically. Mahrez, De Bruyne. Phil Foden. He's going to probably do better this year.
I don't know if Phil Foden's going to do a whole lot better. He already established himself.
I mean, who else could you fit in that lineup that's going to outshine some of these guys, you know? They got Jesus in the bench.
Actually, if you look at it, Jesus is the only center forward on the team because they lost Aguero. Somebody made a very, very good point. In 18-19, we'll just take it 18-19, Liverpool and Man City ran the title to the last day, and Man City won by 1 point. That Man City still had a Kun Aguero who was Kun Aguero. Still had an absolute beast, Kun Aguero. Still had Leroy Sané, who was killing people. Sterling was in better form. De Bruyne was De Bruyne. All of this. So, even if they get Harry Kane, do you think that 2021-22 Harry Kane is going to be that much better than Kun Aguero from the 19-20 and 17-18 seasons?
Yes.
You think that Harry Kane is going to be better than that Sergio Aguero?
I mean, I think more than Harry Kane is the midfielders that are going to be feeding them plays.
But it's the same guys. It's the same guys. So if we're comparing 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 Man City, it's the same guy. Unless you're saying, okay, I'll put it this way, unless you're saying that Phil Foden is considerably better than David Silva.
He's not the same type of player. I'm saying De Bruyne is a better player, or at times could be a better player than David Silva. Yes.
Okay, but De Bruyne was there. So you're saying that De Bruyne now is better than De Bruyne 3 years ago?
I'm saying that a De Bruyne now or 3 years ago is better than whoever Tottenham had in the middle 3 years ago or now.
But that's not what we're talking. We are talking about Harry Kane joining Man City. Okay.
And I'm talking about if Harry Kane were to join Man City, he'd have a whole set of midfielders that he never had before that are going to be feeding him balls just like they were feeding them to Aguero. Because the only way that Aguero could shine is if you got the right midfielders to help you feed all the balls.
Right. And I understand that, but what I'm fundamentally asking is, do you think that Kun Aguero, that like the Kun Aguero, is that much worse than Harry Kane? That's all I'm asking.
I'm saying peak Harry Kane could be equal to peak Aguero.
Great. So at least we fundamentally broke that down. So them getting Harry Kane is just replacing Kun Aguero. That's not them improving the team. And guess what? Jack Grealish, in my opinion, is just replacing Leroy Sané. So they're not, in my opinion, they're not adding, they're replacing from the team that was really, really good. And
what's the problem with that?
Okay, I'm not saying the problem with that. I'm saying, and leading into the previous team, the next team we're going to look at, the previous team we looked at, Liverpool, ran that team, that unbelievable team, to the last day. 1 point away from it. And I feel like the Liverpool team from this year is better than the Liverpool team that ran them 1 point away. And
I feel like you're making a comparison with Liverpool that ran Man City versus the Man City where they had Kun Aguero in his prime.
But they had Kun Aguero in his prime at that point.
At that point, Liverpool used to run him into the ground 3 years ago when they had Kun Aguero at his prime.
Liverpool didn't run them into the ground. I'm saying ran them to the last day. I'm saying Liverpool lost by 1 point.
No.
When they had peak Kun Aguero. Before the injuries, 3 years ago, when he was still an animal. And I can even take it a step further. They didn't just run them 1 point away. They ran them 12 centimeters away. Because remember, they barely missed an opportunity to score the goal that would have given them the lead at the Etihad, and then they ended up losing 2-1. And what you also have to remember is Leroy Sané is a beast. He was the scariest player in the EPL for a lot of different reasons. His speed, his pace, his way he got things done. Grealish might replace that. They didn't have it last year. Foden tried. Foden is, of course, Foden. And Mahrez just can't get to that point, but of course they're going to keep him. Grealish might be able to. And then you got to see where does Grealish play? Is he going to be on the wing? Is he going to be down the middle? Is he going to play next to De Bruyne? Again, we're talking about we're making small marginal moves here because Liverpool is very good, United's very good, Chelsea's very good, City is.
What this sounds like, it sounds like our next $20 bet.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But what I also wanted to compare it to is the next team we're going to talk about, and why I don't think that they can lace the other two teams' shoes. Man United.
Manchester United.
Now, Man U, they don't have Varane on the team yet, but of course they're going to get Rafa Varane. They already got Jadon Sancho. I have them fourth. I have them fourth, and I don't have them. I have it that City and Liverpool are in one tier. A tier down is Chelsea. A tier down is United. I don't think that even with adding Sancho, even with adding Varane, I don't think they have that holy shit factor. They don't. I mean, they just don't. They have to figure out what they're going to do at goalie. Are they going to go with Henderson or are they going to go with De Gea? I mean, their defense, it's been playing better, but I'm still not thrilled by it. Their midfield, what are they doing with Pogba? I mean, of course, you got Bruno, but then you only have one ball. Sancho is going to want a lot of the ball. Bruno loves having a lot of the ball.
Bruno keeps it a little too long, but he's the only one that can actually afford to keep it. Pogba, I don't think I think he needs to play another position or something. I don't know. He has a lot of skill, but he plays in the wrong position, I think. I don't know where he should play. Maybe a winger, you know?
Well, the thing is, he's successful for France because he plays more of an 8. United has him somewhere in this 8-6 role, maybe sometimes they move him into not really a 10. That's more of a Bruno. So they don't really know what to do with Paul Pogba. Maybe if he goes to PSG, he's linked. That's a better move. But then even at PSG, he's not really going to be a great fit. We don't need to get into all that. But Pogba, it's just weird. Because of course he is a talented player. I mean, it's funny to say that Pogba is shit, but
I say it's almost like he runs out of field, you know? Like if the field was probably 2 football fields long, I think Pogba would be a great player. But he just holds on to the ball, tries to outrun people, and when he tries to outrun people, they catch back up to him. He tries to do it again, runs out of bounds half the time, gives away a goal kick to the other team.
Right.
I don't know. They just don't click. They don't click. They have great players, but they don't click.
And clicking is a key point because, yeah, they get Jadon Sancho. He's great, but he's got to get bedded into the side. And we didn't talk about that with Grealish and then Kane or Messi or whoever the fuck Man City get. It takes a while for these guys to play together and to work as a cohesive system. United doesn't really have a cohesive system. You're going to add Varane. Think about it this way. Rafa Varane is a good player. He is. He's not as good as he used to be, but he still is. But for years, he was used to Sergio Ramos next to him. He was used to saying, okay, I can go forward because I know Sergio's got me. Now he's got Harry Maguire. That's not Sergio Ramos. So he's got to learn how they play. And even if you're going to say, okay, Harry Maguire is a good player, still doesn't have the experience with Varane. Still doesn't have the feel of what it's like to play it at United. I mean, a lot is going to have to come from Pogba and Martial helping him as fellow Frenchmen to kind of bet him in with the team. And again, Varane's not on the team yet. He hasn't officially signed. So even he is going to come later. He's not going to be around at the beginning of the season. So I see him as fourth. I see Liverpool and City on a different tier. I see Chelsea on another tier ahead of them. And then I go to United. I mean, and even the things where they were successful last year, how long can you hope that Cavani stays around? I mean, how long are you going to give to Martial before you realize that he's not that great? Mason Greenwood is a good prospect, but at some point, he's not going to lead the line. And even him, you got Sancho, who's going to take his spot. So I don't know. Oh, and of course, Rashford's hurt. He's not coming back till October.
Then you got to, if you have a good Arsenal or if you have a good Tottenham, then you could be looking at fifth or sixth, or just be playing with those two.
Right. Or even Leicester City. So we'll see. Moving on, after we had the three most interesting teams, now we are going to probably the least interesting team. Newcastle United. I would really love if they got relegated because they are boring. They are boring. They are dull. They are lifeless. They are uninteresting. They do nothing for no one. Alan Saint-Maximin is fun to watch. Miguel Amar, you can probably pronounce his last name better.
Almiron,
ex-Atlanta United player. He's
fun to watch.
He's okay. But when those are the guys to watch, when those are the reasons to flip on a Newcastle game, yikes.
Well, that's the reason why I like the EPL, because you have these shitty teams with little gems. They're more like charcoals, just diamonds in the rough that could potentially end up at some big team if they make it out of this rut team that they're in, like Newcastle, like some of the mid to lower table teams. And Miguel Almiron, I'm not going to say he's fun to watch when he's playing a shitty team, because two shitty teams make a boring game. But when he has to play against somebody good, like a Pogba or like another good center midfielder that's battling with him, and he does better than them, then I don't know, that makes the EPL fun to watch. There's those matchups.
I mean, I'm even looking at the players they have.
He's the only one.
They're not even like, it's not even like there's young prospects like Callum Wilson, who, to be fair to him, was good for them. He's 29. Like,
he's fun to watch.
But he's older. Saint-Maximin is 24. Maybe he'll make another move after Newcastle. But I mean, Almiron is 27. So he really needs to put up or shut up, or he's going to be stuck. I see him going down. I see him bottom of the table. I see him 20th. I mean, when you really look at it, if Callum Wilson wasn't red hot at a point, they would have went down last year. Callum Wilson literally scored the goals that kept him up last year, and I don't think he's going to be that hot again. So I got him going right down.
Yeah. 14th, 15th.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. So talking about teams that might go down, we're talking about a team that came up. Norwich City. Cupboard's a little bare. Losing Emi Buendia hurts. But I mean, getting Billy Gilmore from Chelsea on loan is great. Milat Rashika from Germany. That might be a steal. Liked him a lot for Werder Bremen. Thought that he was going to get a move to a bigger team last year, just didn't. And him coming to Norwich is a sneaky one. But outside of that, they really need some guys to show up, because I'm looking at this and I might not have done enough of homework on Norwich, but this
They
is,
get relegated?
well, I mean,
Where'd they end up
well,
last season?
they came up last year. I mean, they still have Todd Cantwell, but there's rumors that he might go. You remember this guy, Todd Cantwell, the long blonde hair, had been from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tall.
And then of course they have Pookie,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's Pookie. And then of course they lost Buendia, which
Yeah, I see him as a relegation team. Bottom three.
don't really need to talk very much more about them. Sorry, Norwich. Then we got Southampton. They're another nondescript team, but I think that there's more upside there.
I like him a lot. This guy, Jannik Vestergaard, I've talked to him about you before. I like how he plays. He's a solid defender. Theo Walcott is fun to watch just because, if you know his history, he's been in a couple of teams, and sometimes he'll make a play or two that's pretty nice. Who else is in here? Who do you like from here?
I mean, of course, you have to start with James Ward-Prowse. Not only is he the most valuable player on the team, he's their captain. He's been around forever. Still kind of young. He's 26. He'll turn 27 this year. He's kind of a Mr. Do-It-All. I like that Che Adams showed up a little bit in the second half. Well, he showed up in the second half in 1920, and then he really showed up a lot more last year. He'll help that he could score the goals. They got Elyounoussi from Celtic. That's a good move. And then, I mean, you alluded to it. Vestergaard and Bednarik in the back. Those are their two brick walls. And a team like that is going to fight in that middle-ish range, having center backs that you can trust is huge. That's why Burnley has stayed up. I know we talked about them yesterday, but that's why they stayed up, because of the center back pairing that they have. And I think that Southampton can do something similar. The problem is their goalkeeping is very shaky. They got Fraser Forster back from Celtic. Alex McCarthy is okay at best. I think they'll stay up. They have enough to stay up, but not hugely impressed. They're going to be another team who maybe will have a competitive game, but not huge. And of course, just before it goes without mentioning, them losing Danny Ings is a kick in the nuts. I mean, Danny Ings scored the goals for them. They don't have him anymore. Yikes. Danny Ings is a good player, and he is not there anymore. So now we go to the team that I thought was going to get Danny Ings, because I thought Danny Ings was going to go, and that is Tottenham Hotspur. They are one of the more interesting teams to watch this season. I have a couple of Tottenham friends who I talk to And I keep on just saying, damn, you guys should be right up there with Liverpool and City and Chelsea. And just, you have so much talent. And they say it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't fit. And I think the biggest thing to watch for them, aside from does Harry Kane stay, is the fact that they open their schedule against Man City. If they can put a marker down and kind of say, you know what, we're not scared of you, Man City, and they have beaten Man City in the past. They've actually done very well against them. They can really show with some of the guys that they've put some faith in that they're a team to be scared of, that they're a team that's going to stand up. I mean, just in the front line alone, you got Hyunmin Son, Brian Hill, who you don't know about, but you will. He is 20. They got him from Sevilla. He is a fucking baller. I will say it now, and I need to put the emphasis on fucking baller. This guy is a stud. He looks like a child. He looks like he's a member of One Direction, but the kid can play. He's a winger. He can do it. They got Steven Bergwijn. They got Lucas Moura. They're going to be okay. Now, if they lose Kane and they can't replace Kane, and then they got to do something with Hyunmin Son, and maybe they then try to slide Dele Alli back in the lineup, and now everything's all sideways. That's a whole different story. But they have the guts of a top 4 team, and I think that they may push United for 4th. I really do. Of course, I get to the end of what I was saying, and Leo walks away.
I'm still here. I agree. They're one of my favorite teams to watch. I think a lot of their problems, just they get scored on. They don't have a good defense or nobody that you can say is holding up the team back there like you do some of these bigger teams like Virgil van Dijk, Vestergaard, whoever else.
You just threw Vestergaard in there. I think what you were thinking about was Ruben Diaz from Man City, Varane. And it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that though, because they do have a void in the back. They lost Jan Vertonghen 2 years ago. They lost Toby Alderweireld this summer, but they added Cristian Romero
from Atalanta,
and also from Argentina. He was the defender of the year in Serie A. He led the line for an Argentina team that won Copa America. And I know you watched more Copa America than I did. Argentina was known more for their defensive stability than their offensive firepower, which is surprising for a team with Angel Di Maria and Lionel Messi and Giovanni Lo Celso and all those players. Their defense was what did it. And Christian Romero was leading the line. So get him in there, put him in the back line. If he can quarterback the back line for them like he did for Atalanta and he did for Argentina, that's a game changer.
It's got to be done. There's got to be something back there. That's going to be the key, because if I think about Tottenham and my favorite things to watch about them is only from the middle up. They don't have anything good back there going on at the moment. Nothing that can really stop things from happening. Not even a solid defense or defensive midfielder that I can think of. Somebody that's kicking ass back there.
Højbjerg. I think you're forgetting about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who played every minute last season and was an absolute terrier. The problem for them is they gave up on Pochettino. And then they thought bringing Jose in would be the answer. It wasn't. And And now they're dealing with the consequences of the decisions they made. And now they have to rebuild. And will or will not that rebuild be with Harry Kane is the question. So we'll see. 3 more teams left, and another team that's on their way back to the Premier League is Watford. A lot of similar faces to the Watford team that we saw in the Premier League 2 years ago. Of course, the biggest player is Ismail Sarr, who will get down to, where do they have as a right winger? It looks like, as I'm now looking a little bit more at the team, very bloated up front. A lot of guys who they're listing as a center forward. Love the name, would love to see if he's good, but the fact that they have a forward with the last name Success. I mean, if your last name is Success and you suck, that's a tough life to live. I'm sorry. But they have Tom Cleverley, who of course is an ex-United player, Man United player. They have a couple other kind of underrated players. Talking about an ex-Spurs player, they have Danny Rose, who's of course been in the league. All that being said, can't put lipstick on a pig. They're going right back down. I don't think they're great. And I don't know if there's very much more to say about it. I don't think they're a great team. I mean, as I'm thumbing through this roster, are there any names here that do anything for you?
Danny Rose is the only one. Besides that, not even him.
Yeah.
He's not even one of my favorites.
Bang average team. Not even. With a coach that has never really done anything of anything and has a weird name like Zisco. Moving along. West Ham United. One of, if not the surprise team of last season. Fought for the top 4, came up short, will be in Europe this year. So what do they do this year? That's the big question. They showed that they have the talent there. What does the team look like now that they have to go to Europe, now that they have those obligations abroad as well as in the country? And also, you have to look at the fact that a lot of their success, especially at the back end of the season, was based in the fact that Jesse Lingard was a machine. Jesse Lingard's back at Man U. So be it luck, be it fate, be it whatever voodoo it was, Jesse Lingard was their best player, and Jesse Lingard is not there anymore. So what does that look like now? Thoughts and observations, young Leo?
Yeah, that's a team that's going to go down fast because a lot of the lower the table teams, they just got something going on. I don't think West Ham really made any good transfers. I think they're going to crumble with the responsibility they got to do in the Euros. And here in the Premier League, I think they're going to fuck one up majorly. Which one is it going to be? We don't know.
Right. I mean, while we are discussing the Premier League right now, it is very possible that they have, because they don't have a deep squad, they could very well send out a secondary team to like the Europa League playoffs and get kicked out right away and not even make it to the group stage.
Yep. Or vice versa, they could send out their toughest and send their B teams to the Premier League, whatever is more important for them. I think the Europa League is going to be more important since they never make it, but who knows?
One thing to watch, well, that's a very good point. One thing to watch, they did get Alphonse Areola, who was very impressive for Fulham. Well, I don't want to say ex PSG player because he's still kind of bouncing around, but he's going to be in net. Weird because goalie is not really their top need. I like Fabianski. He's very solid. He is getting a little bit older, but if they can lock Areola down for a long-term contract, that's a good deal for them. But no Lingard, no party. And our final team, Wolves. The biggest thing for Wolves is the return of Raul Jimenez off of his horrible injury last year. So they're actually going to get some goals there, which is very, very nice. Catrone coming in is sneaky. You know what? The more I look at Wolves, the more I like them. The more I like them. The more I look, the more I like. Because Catrone, he was a hot prospect, cooled off big time, but he was a hot prospect. Rafa Mir, he's a prospect. Fabio Silva, another prospect. Then you got Jimenez coming back. Trincao from Barcelona on loan. He's a baller.
They're one of those teams.
What?
They're one of those teams that they don't have the big names, but they definitely are scrappy and dirty, and they can give it to the good teams.
I don't know. They might have the big names too. And they even have guys who might need to just get that resurgence. I mean, they got Nelson Semedo from Barcelona, who was not great for Barcelona, but he's a Barcelona player. I mean, if it was good enough that 2 years ago Barcelona wanted him, I mean, that's something. But I mean, they did lose Rui Patricio to Roma, their captain. They replaced him with Jose Sa from Olympiacos. They might push for Europa League, especially if Jimenez comes back and he's healthy and shows it. Bruno Lage at manager, he's been around, he's won some stuff. That they might be sneaky. They might be sneaky. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of guys here with a ton of upside. So they're going to be a fun team to watch. So we're done with all the teams. We're going to stop sharing here. So let's do a quick recap. Your top four going. We'll go back and forth. Who do you think finishes fourth?
I think fourth is going to be Man United.
Agreed. Third.
No, you go with your fourth.
I said agreed. I got United fourth.
Okay. Third. I think that third is going to be Leicester.
Okay. I have Chelsea third.
Oof.
Second
for me is, well, according to our bet, Liverpool is going to be second. Manchester is going to be first.
I have them reversed. So bold claim, you don't have Chelsea in the top four.
I don't think so.
Ooh. You don't have Chelsea in the top four. So why is it now you sliding in Leicester at third even over United? That's ballsy. So what for you says that Chelsea's not a top 4 team? Now, before I jump down your throat on it, let's remember that even last year when they were winning a Champions League title, it took them to the last day and Leicester losing to Tottenham to finish 4th. So it's not that crazy, but Chelsea's also got the Champions League mojo. They're trying to make some moves, but why do you think that they don't finish in the top 4?
I think that the top 4 teams generally have a leader up top, a forward, cold-blooded killer that can score as many goals as he pleases on any given day. The team rests him for 85 minutes of the game, and they put him the last 5 minutes, and they put in one of these killers that can score in 5 minutes and an extra time off a header, off of something like a Cavani, something like that. However, I don't think United has what it takes to finish 3rd because of their defense. They also don't have really somebody in the middle that can take charge of the middle. But I believe in Leicester's attack a whole lot more with Jamie Vardy, with their whole combination that Jamie Vardy has to play balls to him, or for him to do these ghost runs so that he can allow his teammates to create other plays, which I've seen lots of times do, because obviously he's the player to watch. He distracts a lot of defenders. A lot of defenders double team him, and they leave a couple of players all by themselves in the box. So I believe in that type of offense way much more than I believe in the defense of United and the offense of whoever we were just talking about, Tottenham.
Okay.
Chelsea.
So what do you think is going to be the most surprising thing we see this season?
That I think Leicester's going to be, they're going to move up top, and they're going to go, higher up in the table versus these expected teams like United and Tottenham.
I will say I don't know if it's surprising because it's happened in the past. I see, and this is, well, first of all, I see every English team making it out of the group stages in Europe. Every one of them. Clean sweep, every one of them. And I think depending on how everything shakes out, like with who plays who, there will be at least 2, possibly 3 English teams that make the Champions League semifinals. And then whoever, I think that Leicester will make either the Europa League semis or final. What I'm really trying to get at is the brand of play in England is so much further than everybody else.
I think so too.
And I think that that's going to show up, because even if you really love like a Bayern Munich, I don't think that they're as good as Liverpool or City. Even if you're fixated on PSG, I mean, if they get Messi, that's a different story. But I still don't see them as they haven't won anything. They didn't win the Champions League. I know they went to the Champions League final against Munich, but they didn't win it.
But I still think that Atletico can become somebody this time around and step up to what Barcelona has failed to do.
It's funny you say that, because remember, Atletico lost to Chelsea last year.
That's fine, but in what stage?
Quarters. They knocked them out. Or it was the quarter. No, wait, it was around of 16. The round of 16, they knocked out Chelsea. Quarters. Chelsea knocked out Porto, then Real, then won. So we'll wrap up on this point. Who do you think wins the Golden Boot? Who do you think scores the most goals?
Oh, I don't know. Who won it last year?
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
And before you think Son, that is a safe bet, which would obviously be presumptuous that Kane is leaving, which will then make Son the guy. I have to back everybody's favorite one season wonder who will be having his 5th year of everybody's favorite one season wonder, the man who has scored more goals than anybody in their first 4 fucking seasons in the league, Mohamed Salah.
So that's a good bet. I like that. I like that one too. I love to see him play. He hasn't been that hot shot in a while.
He scored the okay. This is not to make an argument, but as I literally just said, he has scored the most goals ever by anybody in their first 4 seasons in the Premier League. They call him the one season wonder, and he's done really well to be the one season wonder that became the 2 season and the 3 season and the 4 season. So now he's in his 5th season. So maybe at some point they'll just say, "Oh, he's an EPL great."
I don't think so. I think this season he's going to be kind of stale. People are going to get used to his playing style. They're going to be watching him a little bit better. Defense, they're getting defenders from all over the place to stop these guys. So he's going to be up to a challenge. And I think he's getting older.
Ronaldo got older. Messi got older. Benzema. It's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay.
And you can tell.
It's totally and completely okay because I mean, he only had the 2nd most goals of his career last year. I mean, without a center back partnership, without midfielders that were giving him good balls in, so it's okay. I'm pretty sure in his 4 years thus far, he hasn't finished anything worse than 3rd in the top goal scorers.
Well, he's got Son right there biting at his ankles.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Leo, we will end it there. Sounds like we have a couple nice bets to make. And everyone, enjoy. Adios.